And we're back here at the R6 NAL, Doa Pengu, and Jacob here with you at the desk. We have Analyst Pengu, very different from Caster Pengu, because he's wearing the blazer.
Yeah,
that's the major difference for sure.
It really is.
It's like the talking stick. You can't talk if you don't have the talking stick. You can't be our guest analyst if you don't have the analyst blazer.
It's got the power. It's like Space Jam, basically. We put this on Jesse and it absorbed all the analyst power, and now we're giving it to you. Although maybe you don't want to wear that today. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. TSM versus Parabellum is going to be our next match. First, let's take a look at the standings, because again, we're going to look at these a lot. And there's a good reason to, because it is getting down to the wire. Now, after Space Station's loss against Sonics, things are going to be pretty grim for them, but still some opportunities to fight for that fourth spot.
Yeah, still, but not from Parabellum or TSM side in this matchup, obviously. If anything, we're looking at Beast Coast to see if they can't vault up, because Dark Zero obviously catapulting themselves up 2 more spots with their victory from earlier. Beast Coast are hot on their heels, only 2 points behind. They play Mirage in the game just after this one. Just bear in mind, for this matchup, Parabellum and TSM, neither one of them can get into major contention. So overall, if they move anywhere, the most that they can go is like 6th to 5th place, if that. So.
Yeah, and I think that puts Parabellum in the better position, right? Because TSM have obviously already proven themselves to be one of the best, if not the best team in the world, literally in February doing invitationals. Parabellum coming into Pro League from relegation, from qualifying, from CL. They want to prove a point and gain those cookie points, because to them, they matter so much more than to the likes of TSM. So I think they're going to go in with this. They're going to show their tricky strats, you know, their gimmicks, as I called them in the cast last night.
Yeah.
Where they're going to have like the weird glass situation like against that Sonics. They have some weird nuke plays against the previous opponent yesterday of SSG. So I still expect the Parabellum to bring out all those weird strats.
Yep, there you go. Well, let's dive into it. TSM versus Parabellum. Again, teams both disqualified from making it to the major, but still playing for those SI points and the pride. And if you're TSM, it's like you gotta show that you've still got something in the tank. But as we look at TSM here, I think something Super said in our interview at the end of that last series was very important, is that when you are succeeding in the way that a team like TSM succeeds, a team like Sonic succeeds, a team that succeeds in any esport, really, you're going to run into an issue where you are going to so many tournaments, you're qualifying for so much stuff, people want to invite you to show matches, everybody wants to see you play, you start to run out of time to actually practice, you do start to burn out. These people are human beings, they need breaks sometimes too. So it actually isn't the most surprising thing in the world sometimes for a top team like your Sonics of the world, like your TSMs, to have that big performance and then fall off. Now, usually it's not as bad as TSM has had as far as a fall off goes.
No, for sure.
But it's not unheard of.
Well, what we're looking at now is a team that has had the single worst fall off after winning a 6 invitational that has ever been noticed in Siege history, because in the past, if you've won an invitational, sometimes there's been a little bit of a buff. But this is beginning to buck said trend, because last year's world champions, Ninjas in Pajamas, were at the very least able to qualify for the next major right afterwards, even if they got group staged in quite hilarious fashion. For TSM, they can't even go to the major to get group staged because of this kind of result. In the past, we've seen, you know, the old G2 team from 2019 at least go on to find success in very high placements in Pro League directly after that. Same thing with the old, like, with the Penta Squad. Both of the teams that you used to play for, there was at least a little bit of a gap there before there was more of a fall. And in this case for TSM, you can't really do anything else afterwards, but you did just win the most gruesome tournament I think we've probably ever seen in Siege history, given its length, how long they had to be there, what they were doing and adapting on the fly. So if they think that this is the kind of thing that they can just sit out, honestly, I don't really blame them. It's just a matter of whether this is really going to hurt them in the long run based on how they do in stages 2 and 3.
Yeah, and to be fair, on TSM's side, this has been one of the biggest shakeups in like the meta game of Siege, where 3 new maps in a single season gets introduced. A tanker repick shakes up everything about the game, and you had no break between invitationals and stage 1 of NAL.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that I'm not surprised TSM is struggling, because I am, but I will say it's probably more excusable this time around than back in 2019 when G2 had their fall.
Yeah. The other thing to consider, too, is that our next team in this series, Parabellum, a team that was not in NAL last year, right? Yeah. And you add to that, you know, new rosters coming in from Parabellum, but then also new rosters in terms of all the changes across the other teams, and you're not playing against the same squads you did before, right? So there is going to be an adjustment period for TSM as well. But let's move on to Parabellum. This is a team that I think shows a lot of promise, but it seems like if you compare them to a team like Dark Zero or Space Station or Astralis or something like that, they have a lot of good characteristics, but they're just sort of objectively less in every category right now, it seems like.
I think Parabellum's strength is the fact that they are the underdog and that people don't really know what to expect against them. I'm curious to see where these guys will be. First of all, in their 5 full-man roster when Blast gets onto the roster.
That's a good point, too.
And also, where will they be when teams actually figure them out? And they know all these gimmicks that they bring out, the weird operators, the rush strats, etc. Because when we see Parabellum throw surprises at these professional teams, that's when they succeed. But eventually, you should be running out of those strategies and have to rely on fundamentals, and that's where I question Parabellum's full capability.
Yeah, I think we can approach this from the idea of Parabellum stage kind of being over, which I hate to say because obviously you want to keep playing the rest of your games as though there is still something to play for. But they've already showcased a couple of things that I like. Their defensive ingenuity feels like they're able to craft strategies, sometimes not necessarily on the fly, but Penguin understands the way in which this team operates the best and is able to utilize those skills the most to bring the best out of his players. And I feel like on defense, that kind of thing definitely shines. We've already highlighted guys like Kool-Aid and creators who I think the fact that he's actually fitting into this roster is a really good sign for his growth from when he was on XSET last year, coming into this new team and understanding that because it's a different system, he's still able to do something great. And he's doing great overall. He's the guy who slotted into that Ash Finka role. Someone kind of had to play it on this team. And it wasn't going to be wimpy because I feel like you don't want a direct one-for-one transfer. When Blast comes into the roster, you don't want to lose someone like Wimpy's capabilities if he's on a different role. So for Parabellum, this is a very good establishing stage, but it's not going to be the be-all end-all for this team down the road.
Sure enough. Well, it's time to find out already where we're going to be going. It's time to check out the map bans. Border out right away via TSM. If this goes to theme park, by the way, I don't know what to tell you.
If you don't think about it, it won't happen.
I got to say, theme park is where the clowns are.
I was going to say. Well, Parabellum themselves, you got to think about manipulating the map ban phase a little bit because TSM at this point, they have nothing to lose. Probably a game like this, so I do think a team like Parabellum is going to have to go through and pick out the map that they like a little bit better. Obviously, no theme park for TSM. I think it's good that they've kind of learned that lesson. Parabellum didn't want any of the bank smoke, which is one that they've banned out very frequently, as has Cafe. Parabellum, they just don't want to play TSM on Cafe. That's still their best map. TSM have not been able to go to their Bastion map so far, and no Oregon on the table. So what we're seeing from Parabellum very much looks like just it's a myriad of bans about things that they don't like and also what they don't want to take TSM to.
Agreed. I mean, in Parabellum, they played SSG yesterday on Cafe as well, and that didn't really go in their favor either, so it makes sense to remove that map as well. TSM banning the Skyscraper, they themselves have tried to go, like TSM's story right now is trying to play as many maps as possible, with the exception of Theme Park being played 3 times, right?
True.
They're playing maps they haven't seen before many times. They're playing Skyscraper, they're playing new maps, and now we're seeing Chalet, which is a little bit more of a common ground for both of these teams.
Yeah.
But it's not a map TSM has played yet this stage, I don't believe.
Actually, they, according to what I've got here, they have played it once. And this is the one time that they won. This was back when they played XSET before XSET really started to get going. This was the only time that TSM have won a game this stage was on Chalet. However, again, remember back we said before Parabellum played their first Chalet game, they had a win streak going on that map, and then they run into XSET and they get absolutely slaughtered. So it just feels like this is more of an XSET map now, if anything. But in this matchup, we are facing 2 squads that have already played it, they've already won on it to a certain extent, and I don't really know who's going to come away with it other than, like, what we know right now is that TSM's in a hole. Parabellum seem like they're doing better only because the standings say so. I'm not sure how to swing, which way this will end up swinging.
Well, you got to make a choice soon because it's time to find out what our predictions are going to be between our casters and our analysts. We've only got one caster standing by right now, and Taro's over there sitting, looking very lonely, missing his Pingu.
Where's Nick?
How you doing over there?
Where'd he go? Where's Caster Nick?
I'm there in spirit. Parker, do you hear me?
Parker!
I hear you. Okay, I can hear you.
Make the right prediction.
Oh, you're right.
It's me. Yes, I'm right here, actually.
Wait, really?
He's so close.
It's the blazer.
I didn't recognize him with the blazer on.
But he has the analyst jacket on.
He put the jacket on, he becomes a completely different person.
That's true.
This is how it works. Predictions for today. Well, so far I am 0 for 2.
Great.
Happens to the best of us. Yeah.
Everything is upside down today. In terms of standings, TSM is the worst team, so clearly they're going to win. That's it. It's that simple.
Come on.
Okay, so TSM is
the worst statistical team is winning their matches today, so TSM is going to prevail. And
all right.
Prague over the Sonics, and all will be well in the world.
A very scientific, based on facts pick from Intero. Hard to argue with it, but
correct.
May or may not be right.
Stop giving him credit.
Who knows? I'm trying to, I'm trying to give him an out. I'm a nice guy. You know this about me. I'm a nice person, all right. So we're going to get to the coin a little bit later, but for now, let's send it over to our other caster / analyst right now, Analyst Pengu. Do you feel differently than your co-caster here? What do you think?
I do. I think there's a reason why Parker had one of the worst prediction rates during the beginning or first half of his split. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction and say
All right.
it's going to be a Parabellum victory.
Oh, Parabellum victory. Okay, Jacob.
No, I'm in the same boat. Not only because we understand Parabellum usually are a very good team on Chalet, and the only time they lost it was when they got run roughshod over by this XSET squad that's doing so well.
True.
But also just looking at TSM's deficiencies, maybe it's lack of confidence, and I do think Parabellum have more to play for. If TSM already know that this stage is a bit of a write-off, Parabellum still want to do as good as they possibly can, no matter what, because they don't have the same pressure on their shoulders, and a team that doesn't have any pressure can often be one of the most dangerous, so I'll take PB in this game.
Yeah, and wait, what? Oh,
What?
he's right under here. Actually, he's not going to come out. That's okay. You can stay down there. Take it easy, man.
Jesse,
you'll be back next
some
week.
food
Your girlfriend's still looking for you, dude.
Wait, what's that?
Where have you been?
What's that? He says TSM's going to win.
Oh, come
All right,
on.
well, that's a prediction from Jesse, I guess.
Biased
Just let me know. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe we didn't notice him earlier.
You can make a
I
prediction,
heard
but you won't
voices,
come
but
out of the doghouse? What's going on?
I couldn't tell where it was coming from. He's under there. But anyway, he's picking TSM, so now that just leaves the coin. And again, we go by the graphic. TSM will be heads, being that they are on the left side. There you go. And tails will be Parabellum. Let's go ahead and flip the coin.
Almost dropped it there.
I never.
You
Well,
never.
except for once.
Well, once.
It's tails. It says Parabellum is going to win. Now, the coin's been wrong twice today. It's been a rough couple days. It's been a rough week for the coin.
It really sucked for the coin.
But the thing is at the end, right now the coin is at 57%. If it truly acts as a coin should, shouldn't it be 50% by the end of the stage?
It should.
Yeah, exactly.
think.
So proceeding still above expectations, I guess. Let's look at the community poll question and see what you've got to think about as we go into this match. It's today's only match that doesn't affect the major. So dogs or cats? All right, well, there you go.
That's going
we're
to have
just
some
kinda
people riled up.
Going outside esports a little bit. For me, it's an easy one. It's dogs for me. I had a demon cat once for a while. It was,
Oh, no.
It was bad. It was bad.
I've never had either, but I'm already more of a dog person myself, so I'll just sway my vote that way. But you're kind of like de facto a cat person. You don't really have a say in it.
I don't really have a choice because
No, you don't.
I have
Oh.
I have Nudie Man back home waiting for me, so I can only say cats.
There you go. I have a crested gecko at home, actually. So I've foregone dogs and cats.
I'm going to say, what
completely. I'm
category
going
does that most closely
reptile.
fit?
I mean,
Neither.
It's a dragon.
Neither.
probably.
Those are dragons.
True.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Y'all have been talking about dragons.
Now that you've learned about our pet preferences, it's time to take a short break. But when we come back, it's going to be the match that some people have been waiting for. TSM versus Parabellum. It's going to be fun to watch either way. Don't go anywhere. R6 NAL comes back in just a few.
Knocked out, knocked out.
Your own style, that's just slang for you, ain't got it though. Talking like you got it, that's a problem, I might let them know. Freeze you like I'm Elsa, so my let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Head to toe, said you got your own style, that's just slang for you, ain't got it though. Talking like you got it, that's a problem, I might let them know. Freeze you like I'm Elsa, so my let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Never know, talking like Geronimo, get dropped down like some dominoes. Blues and greens and pinks, I got a lot of those. Yeah, you know, talking slime, I can't relate to snakes, I see a lot of foes. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Head to toe, said you got your own style, that's just slang for you, ain't got it though. Talking like you got it, that's a problem, I might let them know. Freeze you like I'm Elsa, so my let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Head to toe, said you got your own style, that's just slang for you, ain't got it though. Talking like you got it, that's a problem, I might let them know. Freeze you like I'm Elsa, so my let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. 10 toes, keep it thorough, stepping out for sure, though, time to let them know. Rubber band bands, I got a lot of dough, oh for sure. Working around the clock, sometimes I need me more than 24. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Head to toe.
Welcome, everybody, to our third match of the day, TSM versus Parabellum. And if you watched the analyst segment just before we went live here, you know that it's the only match day that actually doesn't have an impact on the Charlotte Major that's coming up in just a couple weeks.
Don't say that. The game matters for the viewers.
Both these teams aren't
For
doing
us.
very well.
Okay, that is also false because Parabellum, being the new team here, has been doing all right. Parker.
All right is not well.
TSM
Parabellum has been doing a lot better. TSM, as was noted by the analysts, quite a fall from grace. They win 6 Invitational, and they're currently not doing so hot. They are in 9th place. They are only ahead of Mirage by a single point. The Sonics' victory today gave them 2 points over TSM, but TSM can leapfrog them again with a win here. This is the 7th place team of Parabellum versus the 9th place team of TSM. There isn't an awful lot to say that hasn't already been said, Nick. Both of these teams are in these positions for different reasons. TSM are just mysteriously playing well below the level that we know that they can play at. Parabellum is a relatively new squad that had some roster changes in the offseason, and after making it into the NAL via relegations over the old XZ squad, different XZ squad, they're still trying to find their footing. So yeah, you're right. They're not in the same spot for the same reason. Parabellum's going to be starting on defense here on Chalet. TSM on attack. Operator bands coming in. Thatcher band. Boo. Thatcher band's boring. Boo.
Has to happen.
Nomad band out is an interesting one for a map like Chalet. You see a lot of those anti-flank operators. The two that are brought most commonly are Nomad and Zero. Zero. That's fine.
Well, Zero's an attacker, Parker. It has to be.
That's why I said the two anti-flank operators are Nomad and, try to follow along, Nick.
Well, I would say Gridlock. What?
Gridlock is an anti-flank operator, but is she brought on Chalet? No.
Fair,
Teams
fair.
employ Zero as an anti-flank operator. Is he
That's
brought on
fair.
Chalet? Yes.
That's fair. You know what? I'll
That's
give
fair.
you that one.
That's fair.
You got
That's
me
fair.
there.
You know, I'm not the one throwing on the analyst jacket.
No, apparently I was today because unfortunately our fellow comrade of Jesse, your fellow Canadian friend, he's not here, Parker.
Oh,
so I
he's
had
there
to
on
step to the
friend
occasion.
title.
And you guys are both biased people because you both voted for the same team of TSM. So clearly you guys are have favorites in this matchup.
Why would we not vote for Parabellum if we were biased? They're the Canadian organization with 2 Canadians on the team.
Because you want to be the Canadian. So therefore, by bringing down other Canadians, you rise to the bigger Canadian.
No, Canadian plays for Dark Zero.
Oh boy, it's gonna be a long day. It's the first game that we have together today here, Parker, but thankfully we only have one more. We have this game and we have the final game today between Astralis and XZ. So
And that is going to be a matchup
Banger.
that is, and I believe the kids call it a certified banger. Astralis will be in first place. No matter what happens, XZ will be in third place because Dark Zero, OXG, and Space Station have all competed already today. I'm actually going to be eyeing that Beast Coast Mirage game next because Mirage showed yesterday in their matchup, even though they aren't competing with Razor, that they can throw a real spanner in the works. They can gum up the gears, if you want to say, and they can give Beast Coast a potential run for their money. But for Beast Coast, a victory there continues their trudge onward to the Charlotte Major. Anyway, that's match 4, and then match 5. First, we have to get through this one. Very first round of Parabellum's defense and the bomb site.
Kitchen.
Kitchen.
Of all places, Kitchen on the first floor. We see the information being brought out by Eska on the post, trying to give information to his fellow teammates. Of course, Wimby, as we saw him in most games here, has been playing the Frost, but we have lost a player in the server. I said Eska post, and Eska said goodbye, Pingu. I will leave the server right then and there, and I think that might be a rehost. We'll get that qualification, or that, not qualification, we'll get the confirmation for you in just a second. For the time being, the teams and the players will play out this round as you see TSM progressing through the map from the library side. They're now in that Ivy hallway, and we see PP holding on to this bathroom master bedroom area. But like 4 versus 5, you got more guns against you, and losing that pulse is not going to mean that you have any information down below. No vertical C4s really, except for Kool-Aid, but he is up above, so in fact, there will be no help from below. It'll be Craters and Kool-Aid and Wimpy in the 3 versus 5 up above.
Kool-Aid's the first one to fall. Eska's already gone. We got confirmation that there will be a rehost after this round. We'll get confirmation further as to whether this round actually ends up counting. It's not up to us, it's up to the admins. We just got confirmation. This round will still be played out as normal. So for Parabellum fans, they're crying in the club right now. Wimpy and Penguin are the only 2 players still left alive. They haven't found a kill yet on the TSM.
They haven't. Now TSM is taking top floor control, can start that vertical destruction, but there's still one roamer up above. I believe that's Wimpy, who's on that Solarium staircase. Bolo has the information. Yellow ping comes out, drone at Wimpy's feet. And Bolo on the finger with the LMG. Merc on the trophy window finds the catch as Wimpy tries to run away, leaving Penguin in a 1 versus 5 for the clutch of the ages.
You might think that he's down below the bomb site with all the action that happened on the top floor, but no, as we talked about, it is a kitchen bomb site defense. That's the real Yana, by the way. Very first kill for Parabellum comes out onto Merc, but Penguin's still being droned out inside a kitchen, so it's not going to be more than a single kill to his name. Bolo, who is now 1-0, and we're going to be on Bolo watch today.
Bolo getting the first kill in the first, his first kill in the very first round is something that we haven't seen in a while, actually. Usually Bolo has had a slow start, so getting a nice opening for him hopefully will kind of set the tone for him as an individual so that he can have a good showcasing.
Yes.
It's been a rough few weeks. Tech pause. We're gonna figure out what happened exactly to Eska and then get back into the server and back and going. But for the time being, we'll just be watching the beautiful players on this stage in Las Vegas, where they are playing from. Nothing out of the ordinary. No one has fallen in recent times, I don't think, from the chairs. So
well, not after the PSA yesterday.
Exactly. So the video that we
learned an awful lot about chair etiquette and how to sit down effectively. I almost didn't recognize Doa's voice at the start.
Yeah.
That did not sound like Doa at the beginning. But
Doa
said
when we were like theory crafting content, he said he could do like the 80s voice for like commercials. And I was like, sure you can. But then he did it. And I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. He said he could do it.
He said he could do it. And he did it.
Promise made. Promise delivered. Make a great politician.
It beats people that...
Midwestern charm.
Let me think. What was?
He's a Packers fan. I'd vote for him.
What does it take to call next?
Oh, not this.
Yeah. Some people are made for advertisements and video content pieces. Some people's voices are just annoying to listen to every day.
I wonder which one I fit into.
I wonder as well because you both cast and you were in a commercial that I got tired of hearing.
You know, Nick, what does it take to call next?
What does it take to call next?
What does it take to call next?
I think you're great, Mark.
Thanks, man.
It's a great advertisement.
I just like to be as consistent as possible. Don't let the score at the top fool you, by the way. It is not a 4v5. I don't know why it says that. It's a 5v5. Everybody's still upright in the server.
I guess the game didn't recognize that Eska's back or something because he is 0-0-0 on the scoreboard.
Well, it's actually the other way around because it's TSM, Nick. They're the blue team.
Oh, in that case, we can make fun of any TSM player because them as a team, they haven't really shown up yet.
So typically, they're already accounting for Bolo. So
it's reversed now. 5v4 fixed it.
Yeah, Bolo got it. It's 5v4. All is well in the world. Wimpy flies a little bit too close to the sun, and he is gone. That's the very first kill in favor of TSM. Bomb site is garage down on that bottom floor. TSM like to take this bomb site the same way that most teams do, which is you want to command presence in library, tear open some of the floor. Usually there's a roamer that's playing on that very top floor over towards master. You want to shake them off. You might have somebody who's playing on the main floor over by kitchen that can easily run down the staircase in West Main. But in this instance, it looks like the only defender that is that far off the bomb site at the moment is Creators.
Yeah, that's the Jaeger, so it makes sense. You know, you've already put down your utility, your secondary gadget, that bulletproof, etc. So you can go aggressive here and get off the bomb site itself. It won't change too much, but help from him. Oh, and no. God, but the impact comes out from below. The finger revive across the map. Make sure that the Chief stays on his feet.
I don't think Parabellum knew that they'd gotten it down. Penguin finished off by Bolo. It's his second kill to his name. A bit of a puzzling engagement that Parabellum took. And it doesn't really work out all that well for them. This is just TSM slaughtering the Parabellum lads left and right. Got a flawless round to be had. Last round, it was a single kill for Parabellum. This time, well, they don't have any just yet. They tried on Achieve. They got the down. He got brought back to life. Kool-Aid will need to clutch out, sitting very securely in the middle of the bomb site. A Nitro Cell extended. Takes out the deployable shield, but he peeks. And it's 3 kills for Jason Doty. Bolo, as you know him. And a flawless round for TSM as they're up 2-0.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great beginning if you're Bolo, if you're TSM, etc. And a bit of a puzzling start for this series or for this map for Parabellum. And we see the 3rd ever tactical timeout being taken from Parabellum. We spoke about this yesterday, Parker, when we did cast them, that they usually don't take these timeouts. They've only taken 1 before yesterday, then yesterday they took 1, and today they're taking a 3rd overall so far. And
we only just finished the second round. We already had a tactical or a technical pause as well because of SK disconnecting. So clearly something is going awfully wrong from the side of PB. And right now we can see Penguin being quite vocal in that middle seat, talking to the troops about what exactly might be going on. They've been falling really early, single-handedly, individually, no trades going out at all, and very, very, I would say, lack of commitment to their own game.
Hold on a second here. Hold on. We're getting breaking news of their new coach. Look at into the top right of your screen.
Oh,
From
that
the
Kirby?
beloved Nintendo franchise, Coach Kirby,
Wow.
guiding the team forward.
Kirby eats things, right? He like sucks them in. Like that? Yeah.
I can't make the noise.
It's something like that.
Oh God, am I gonna get us DMCA'd? Oh no.
Oh no. The Kirby sound. It's his only. Valkyrie being left open, of course. We actually didn't talk about that much because normally this doesn't happen, so that means we probably should talk about it. But Valkyrie is open because the Echo is banned, so that's the trade-off that we see. TSM made that decision themselves, and PB are now bringing out the Valkyrie to gain that piece of information. I will say PB on their defensive sides, I would say they're more of like an attacker team, so seeing them with a slow start here on the defense of all things, I think is quite alright, assuming that they're going to speed up things in the later half of this map. But also, if you're up against TSM, a team who has themselves had a very slow beginning to most of their games this stage so far, I'm a little bit afraid of for PB's sake. If TSM starts finding confidence and start finding momentum, Jason, Bolo getting 4 kills in the first 2 rounds, that is the best TSM has looked in a couple of weeks now.
It does seem that it is bad timing for both of these teams. If either of them get really hot in this matchup, it's not a pointless match because there are still 6 invitational points on the line, especially for a team like TSM who, this is an uncharacteristically bad start for them. But if you go back to what we know TSM can accomplish over stages 2 and 3, this is a team that can very easily finish in the top 4 based on where they've been prior. Now, obviously maybe that's changed. Maybe TSM just is not as good as they were before. But either way, you want to fight for whatever standings you can get to try and make your chance to the 6 Invitational even easier. And for a team like TSM that has finished in the top 4 of every 6 Invitational they have competed in as a squad, including winning the most recent one, you don't want to miss out on that contest. So for TSM, this might seem like an inconsequential match, but it's particularly important for them.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost say that the struggle for TSM is to qualify for the Invitationals, not doing well at the Invitationals. And that's something that's always interesting to talk about because some teams are domestic teams and some teams are just international teams.
I mean, it was TSM that actually didn't qualify through points previously. This was a team that had to go through the qualifiers. They win the North American qualifiers to go to the finals. They beat Parabellum to do it, by the way. And TSM then wins the whole damn thing from that particular spot. So not all hope is lost for TSM fans. This has been a very quick round. Merc is the first one down. The sound was from Kool-Aid's AUG, but there's no secured kill until now. But it's Geo to go down. So Merc gets picked back up, and it's the wrong player from TSM to find themselves in the sights of Parabellum.
I will say that the hard breach has gone on from both Geo and Chalet, so the deep wall from Car Garage is opened up, giving that long lines of sight for the attackers, and Trench Wall has been breached open by Chalet on the Thermite. Both exothermic charges have been spent, so nothing much was lost. Now, Achieve tried to flank Creators, who he previously was on the staircase, but it's going to be Creators find the kill. Chalet gets a trade onto Kool-Aid, leaving site a bit more vulnerable.
That means it's a 3v3 on the site as Creators needs to get on back. Penguin taking some damage, actually. Only 2 on the bomb site. Eska is over top, sitting on this hatch, and he sees the Thermite go in, but Chala wins the gunfight in remarkable fashion, and he's got a job to be done, so the diffuser starts to go down. Bolo knows that there's still one up there, a nice kill from him. Firing up the old war machine, are you? Merc trying to head back into the bomb site, but he's gunned down by Creators, or Bolo is rather, and Creators drops a massive 3K for Parabellum. Creators makes his own play, and he crushes TSM in the middle of the bomb site. Parabellum get their very first win, and there you go.
Coach Kirby!
Coach Kirby willing them forward.
Do you think, does Kirby actually have ears where the headphone is? Like, where are the ears located on that thing?
You ever thought about what Kirby's feet look like?
Don't
He has individual toes.
No, I think he just has like blobs, like 2 blobs. Like imagine human feet, but without toes, the separation. It's just like one block of meat. That's Kirby's feet, I think. But not human feet. Kirby.
You ever seen that one picture that gets floated around of like Kirby without his shoes on, and it's just like really horrible, awful feet?
I've
Just in case anybody hasn't seen that yet, you should definitely go Google it.
I've seen that once or twice.
Yeah, once or twice. That was a second attempt at Garage, by the way, for Parabellum. After they lost it in round number 2, they slapped the timeout button. Their actual coach is VBM, by the way, who's in India. Not Kirby. As much as we want to joke about it, we have to pay some actual credit to their real coach.
Okay. That makes sense.
The roam was so consequential for Parabellum in that round. It was a huge difference between round 2 and round number 3. In round 2, Parabellum only had 2 players off site. I think one of who was Wimpy, who got killed right away.
Yep.
And then that left creators roaming, who got punished really hard. Then the rest of the bodies were all on the bomb site, and they just kind of fed themselves. Remember, we saw that engagement over in West Main when they tried to kill a Chief through the floor.
Yep.
It didn't really make any sense.
Much bigger commitment this time around, right? And it seemed like Parabellum, the moment TSM breached the walls inside as well, Toxic Bait from Penguin got tossed out, Kool-Aid aggressed up, knowing Trench was clear, got Dubin kill to Geo, so it looked like Parabellum as a unit, as a squad, they played a lot more together in synergy, and now we kind of get to see a retake of that very opening round where Parabellum defended Kitchen, where Eska on the pulse unfortunately disconnected. And the pulse is like the key operator of the entire operation on Kitchen bomb site. So now that we see this 5v5 play out, let's see if the tides can be turned around. But no, Eska sees Merc outside the door, doesn't realize that there's a wall between them, throws out the C4, doesn't do any damage, and Merc stays alive. Leaving only Kool-Aid with the C4 now. So he has to try and play with the pulse to try and get some vertical damage once TSM gets into office.
Kool-Aid's going to need that kill. He's been awfully quiet. A lot of Parabellum have. We're now in round number 4, and there's 2 players on PB who have yet to make it onto the scoreboard. Geo is the only player on TSM who hasn't. Damage done to Achieved, and a little bit to Eska, and that's about all that we've looked at so far. Bolo is 5-1, only dying in the previous round, the one that Parabellum succeeded in. And on this Kitchen defense, these 2 bomb sites favored by Parabellum, both the downstairs garage and now Kitchen again. It looks a little bit different, the way that Parabellum is going to hold this. They're kind of bunkered down over in Solarium and allowing that office component to be focused on by TSM.
Yeah, they're sacrificing that first, further out area of office and piano, holding it all from master bedroom, bathroom, and solarium. Shields in this position, ADS's, electrification, but it's a Chief who finds the opening kill to Wimpy, who's playing deep inside of master bedroom. Now, this isn't too bad if you're Parabellum. You still got the 45 position that where Kratos is playing. He still has a key part in this strat. You still got pulse information being fed from below, but if you keep falling like this, TSM will run you over.
And that's your smoke gone with 45 seconds left, so no real plant denial, barring that nitro cell that we talked about from Kool-Aid. Everything else is going to have to be done in hand-to-hand combat from Parabellum. TSM now, as we talked about, they were given a lot of leniency with this map control. They caught it early, and their focus is over towards the office side of the second floor, which directly translates to the kitchen wall / dining wall right below it. The Selmas go off, clear a passage on in. A grenade gets hucked in that direction. Kool-Aid, the first kill for Parabellum. Things will heat up with 15 seconds left. That's Chalet. Geo holds on to the diffuser. Bolo still from above as Kool-Aid is felled on the bomb site. Eska and Merc both trade out with Geo the one to go down. And that leaves Creators to clutch, but he used up all of his good juju in the previous round because he's got no luck this time. TSM answers Parabellum's round with a round of their own. They're up 3-1.
TSM just checking that mental checklist of all the fundamentals. They didn't rush that round. They took the time they needed. And yes, it looked like they were executing with too little time, only being 17 seconds. But it's all you really need. Once you push that go button, once you're into the bomb site, it's going to be very quick before you get in until you actually start planting. So 17 seconds is plenty to go. And TSM making sure that they're not losing people early on by skipping those initial steps. Chala, in particular, doing a really good job in that previous round, rotating around his teammates accordingly. Out on side that piano window, opened it up, held the angle. Once TSM got piano control, Chala moved to the bathroom window, taking it one step at a time, holding the flank while holding down PP so they can't push up into his teammates. 3-1 for TSM. We're going to see PP going to bar, really going through the bomb sites here.
Finally rotating off of those 2 old familiars, as we want to call them. Kitchen was attempted twice. Both times TSM prevailed, not Parabellum. So no surprise that PB does not want to go back to a bomb site that was not successful on either attempt. Garage is locked, so after we see this bar gaming defense, given the way that Parabellum played it, it's a safe assumption that they could go back there.
That it is.
No bedroom defense, which is also very unsurprising. This
Yeah.
is a bomb site that is not brought out as reliably as it used to. So don't expect teams to play it unless they've got something really spicy cooked up, or no other bomb sites are working.
Yeah, I mean, Master Bedroom is almost like a worse kitchen because the way you attack it as an attacker is the exact same as you would on Master Bedroom, right? You go library, you breach the office wall, and then either you take the vertical play and plant dining, or you just go direct for dining once the wall to office is opened up. But if you play Master Bedroom bomb site, that is the bomb site. Once you breach that office wall, that is the last step you have to clear as an attacker. So it's the worst version of itself. PB now holding tight onto library, and TSM attacking from the opposite side right now, but they still have members on the library balcony as well. ADS clear, flashbangs going out. No nade actually really follows, but Creators drops the hatch regardless. The nade comes out a little bit late and it misses, but it doesn't matter. TSM gained what they needed. They cleared out the corner. Creators left, and PB also stayed alive, so no one really won this engagement, but it's an even trade for utility and time.
All the holes that have been created in the floor will work very well in TSM's favor as long as they can dislodge Wimpy from his position on Chimney and take control of Library. Everybody that attacks on this bomb site has two huge focuses. Control Library, control the retake on Library, which is exactly where Kool-Aid is sitting. He's going to be the impediment for a potential retake. And also hold on to Chimney, because then you can effectively paralyze the defense down below you. A nice swing by Merc after he takes out the deployable shield, and there goes Kool-Aid. One part of this attempt to get to the bomb site by TSM done successfully, and they've also flushed Wimpy off of Chimney. Those were two huge moves by TSM, but the good news is Wimpy gets back to the bomb site alive with still a minute to go.
It does, but within 10 seconds, Parabellum goes from full top floor control to zero top floor control at all. That's going to give a Chieftain TSM so much time to work with, destroy the default cameras, deny information. Merc keeps finding opening kills for his team, and now all you gotta do is spend these next 20 seconds to set up before you execute, and then try and get down that diffuser.
And in all reality, Merc getting the opening pick, finding space, getting droned on in, this is what we have come to expect from TSM, and it seems like they're back to full form. That's obviously a bit of confidence-inspiring news. Parabellum will hold on now with smokes in hand. Toxic canisters tossed out and 20 seconds to go. They're staring down the barrel of defeat. They take out Merc. He's been the big threat so far. Both kills for TSM to his name. A flash onto the stairs as it's now Bolo to emerge, but Penguin swats him away. All of a sudden, Parabellum very much in this. A hail of bullets, and Penguin is making this work. He's got two huge kills, and he hits a third and then a fourth. PB, an astonishing turnaround after TSM did so well on the entry. And they deny a fourth round to TSM, as Parabellum are now one round back.
We now have Blaz in the studio here over in Vegas. This is Blaz, apparently.
Oh, okay,
it's not
cool.
Kirby.
Yes, I didn't.
I didn't realize.
What visa? What visa do you think they applied for to get Kirby here?
I mean,
sorry.
There's a couple of options.
To get
there,
Blaz
isn't
here.
there? Entertainer, world star, famous person. You could probably do a pretty good thing in like competitive eating as well, so plenty of options for visas, I imagine. Either way, nice to see him finally in studio there. It's nice. Lovely to see. PB with a great round. TSM could not capitalize in those final moments. They did take 20 seconds of time to reevaluate exactly how they were going to be attacking, but the isolated members were found by Penguin from PB, and that put TSM on the back foot. Then punished further. No trade from TSM is the big thing to really talk about that round. It was Parabellum who were trading effectively, covering all bases, so when one person got into the gunfight, a second person could swing and play off the contact, whereas TSM, they picked those isolated gunfights themselves, and they lost them, and therefore Parabellum ended up with more men alive than that of TSM. That's going to give us to a 3-2 scoreline. Final round on this half, with Parabellum 3-2 on defense. Not a terrible start for either team, really. Chalet is attacker favored. We typically expect a 3-3 split or a 4-2 attacker favored split. Both of those things are still possible for both teams.
What do you think with the way that attacker repick has changed things up? What do you think is a good result for the first half of a Chalet?
I would say in a perfect world, 4-2.
4?
Yeah, 4-2 for attackers.
For attackers.
For attackers, yeah.
There you go. TSM still has that within reach, as you talked about.
Yeah, can still do it. And I mean, even only getting 3, if that's the case, you still have your Chalet defenses, which we have to assume, you know, these are world-class teams. Those should be quite alright as well. Now, Parabellum are known to be a good attacking team. They're known to have all these weird one-off strats, the pocket strats that we phrase them as. And TSM, they're known to have very lethal entries. And so far in this game, we are seeing Invitationals TSM, except for this single instance where Creators, he gets aggressive instead.
It's a nice hero peek onto Merc. Merc, so far ahead of the rest of the team, is sitting at 8-4. Been very cool on his entry, and he's had great stats throughout almost every single round. He's been able to enable the rest of his team with those aggressive plays, and even though it wasn't successful in the previous round, it still gave TSM a big fighting chance. It's the halfway point now, as it's another garage defense, as we talked about.
It's a slow position for TSM. They've actually been playing rather slow in Chalet this time around. I think they've recognized that when they play too fast, that's when they miss the steps. People die to a vertical C4, they take a bad gunfight. But for example, this is one of the few instances where Merc takes a 1 versus 1 gunfight with no drone and no flashbangs really, no support at all, and he also falls.
Oh, the fact that Bolo almost lost that gunfight could have been so dire. Creators from above, oh, he's a menace. Silence is achieved before Geo has his teammates back. Wimpy is playing by the planter, just by the fireplace. I don't know if he's been spotted out. Still searching for his very first kill. He's the only player in the lobby that doesn't have one yet. We've talked about Wimpy a ton. He can be the kingmaker when it comes to this defense, but he gets spotted.
Trade.
Eska's still up top as well, playing on that hatch inside of dining. This was a very crucial angle that allowed Creators to clutch before. Now, you don't have Creators this time. You have Kool-Aid and Eska working together. It's going to be a 2v2 once Chalet gets that diffuser down. He has a perfect entry to do so. Kool-Aid decides to present himself, and it's not ideal. Nice kill from Eska. It's a 1v1 all of a sudden. Chalet versus Eska. Plenty of time left, and Eska clutches it. How does Parabellum keep pulling these off? 2 rounds in a row where TSM had no right to lose them until they did. First half in the books. Tie game 3-3.
And it's once again such a different round that plays out from the last time we saw Parabellum in the basement. When they went for that aggressive play upstairs, they had Penguin come up the blue stairs, they had 2 people in the room, they impact the office wall, they flank into Fireblades from top floor, they flank the dining hallway, and basically 4 members of Parabellum all aggress into one direction against TSM when they're caught inside the fireplace. And it was an equal trade. It went from 5v5, or 5v4 rather, down to a 2 versus 2. And then it looked great with that Chalet entry, making it a 1 versus 2. But there isn't a lot of safe spots to plant in. Bolo had to cover the angle aggressively. He lost the 1v1, which allowed PB to clutch. 3-3 tied up series. Neither one won the half really, but getting 3 defenses is impressive from Parabellum. Now we have to see what TSM can do to match that. And the beginning of that is Geo on Clash, on Chalet, on Kitchen. That's like super abnormal. Irregular, uncommon.
I mean, we've seen TSM play Clash before. If you recall, it was upstairs where the Clash would sit. Inside of office, waste time, force the attackers to commit an abundant utility, and look at where the Clash is moving to. Same spot. So if you want to hold off a potential office take, which is what TSM looks to do, they've got their reinforcements in place, they've got rotates, and you can see the avenue that leads from inside a piano all the way through the closet, that TSM are going to force Parabellum to use their hard breach, to possibly use their grenades, to possibly use their Zofia stuns, and of course, if you deplete all that utility, it makes Parabellum's execute significantly weaker. That's if Parabellum survive that initial onslaught against TSM.
Also worth noting, Penguin and Wimpy are both bringing Claymores, and with the patch that came out yesterday, I believe it was, that's 4 Claymores. Now when one person picks up a Claymore secondary utility, you get 2 of them on each operator. So 4 Claymores has been put down. If you jump out any of these piano or bathroom window, odds are you're not going to survive, because they're all covered by multiple Claymores, and that's not going to bode well for you if you're jumping out. So TSM gotta stay put and use the Clash inside the building.
It's a bit weird to see Claymores get brought back, as they just have not really been involved in the meta one bit. We talked about anti-flank operators at the start of the matchup. Wimpy's going to be running the Zero. Another interesting thing, Zero also has access to the hard breach gadget, so you can use him in a pinch if you need to. That's the first Adrenal Surge to go off, and Creators on Repel, on Master Window. A nice nade or nice Nitro Cell tossed out by Chalet to answer Penguin's very first pick onto Bolo. Bolo's stats on defense are nowhere near as good as they usually are in attack. That's something to keep our eyes on after he dropped 6 kills in the first half of the matchup. The clash of Geo is still very much in play. Will Parabellum be able to deal with it? They've got tools to knock the clash away. Penguin is in, but so is Merc, swatted away by Wimpy. His first kill shows up inside of Office. Geo pulls out the sidearm, shield away, and down goes Eska. Shield goes back out, and now Geo's just going to try to waste as much time as possible. Flashed out, Wimpy will see the back of him. That's an easy pinch, well orchestrated by Parabellum. With 45 seconds left, that sets us up for a 2v2.
Yep. Now, the thing is to note here is that PP has no vertical destruction available to them. It's 0 and it's Hibana. And sure, the Hibana X Kairos could do a little bit of self-destruction, but that's all you got to work with. Wimpy has one Argus camera on the 0 to gain a bit of information. No flashbangs available. It's going to be a 2v2 absolute brawl. And the one thing to note here is that Chiefs on the smoke has the FMG9. So, yeah, defenders, they can fight long range as well.
Absolutely. He's still got all 3 canisters remaining, too. Some difficulties with the bulletproof camera that will give information to TSM, as Parabellum have only 10 seconds to pull this off. Not a lot of time, and Kool-Aid will rotate. There go your 2 toxic canisters. You mentioned the FMJ, well, or FMG. There it is. In the hands of Achieved, Chalet gets the very last kill on to Wimpy, and TSM obviously very happy about that one in the plume of smoke. He still sees him anyway.
Seeing a smile from TSM, it's been a little bit. Honestly, I like this a lot more from them, right? I always feel bad when you see players being super down. And that's one thing that I want to praise a team like Mirage for, is that they've been kind of, they show up every week, they get beat down real bad, they lose pretty hard, then they come up next week, they still smile. TSM and also Sonics, teams that had a really good last year, or Sonics had a great last year, TSM had a great invitationals at the end of the year. / beginning of this year, I guess. It's kind of confusing with the invite is like the end of the year professionally, but it's the start in February of the real year, but you know what I mean. So they haven't been smiling a lot, with the quote-unquote terrible performances that we've seen so far in Stage 1. Seeing TSM smile, seeing Sonic smile today earlier as well, that's something that I like to see. Being a former player myself, I know the troubles you can go through mentally when you're in a bad place, you're in a slump with your team, maybe individually you're putting up bad numbers. Someone like Bolo, we praise him so much when he does well, which is why we also have to talk a lot about when he doesn't do well. And Bolo is what we call a superstar, Parker, right? Like, he is like one of our superstars.
Yep.
Big social media presence, no drama, streams, content, etc. So much pressure on his shoulders. And then also, when his team and himself doesn't perform very well, that can be hard to get out of.
TSM is an enormous organization. Even without the SI win, they tend to dominate the conversation when it comes to North American Rainbow Six, and even greater on an international scale, very similar to how Liquid does it in Brazil, G2 does it in Europe. So you're always going to have a very large spotlight on the 5 people who play on this
Pocket
team.
strat.
There it is. Scrutiny is obviously very important, or sorry, is going to be very prominent here. And Bolo, as a massive content creator and huge name,
Here we go.
is going to be somebody who always draws those criticisms and those praise. And you talked about the pocket strat.
I think it's a bait.
It could be, because right now, there's a smoke that goes out to Obscure, a Candela goes off from Penguin, and now they've completely fallen off of the garage. So Parabellum did not like what they saw.
I think this might have been a bait to force the roamers out of the roam and show their true areas. We see here Merc impacting the fireplace floor on this office balcony. The timing for Merc is oh so terrible there. Unfortunately, he played it safe but didn't get a kill, but he stays alive. But PP opened the breach, faked the rush. It wasn't the rush at all. They assume all the rumors fell back, but Merc stays around. He gets traded, but almost gets 2 kills in the process.
It's the second round in a row where they've traded out immediately, by the way. Parabellum, with Ying's LMG in hand, says no more to Bolo. He's been unsuccessful on these 2 rounds on defense. He'll have some time to sit, wait, and ponder what comes next. It's the halfway point. It was an early bit of aggression from Parabellum. TSM will now try to equalize by taking chances on these library stairs, blue stairs as you want to call it. But Penguin is quite wise to the smoke shotgun, and it prompts a toxic canister from Chalet to come out. That leaves him with just 1 toxic gas left with a minute to go.
Only 1 Candela as well from Pink. Remember, Ying did get a buff yesterday as well. She has 4 Candelas, but the duration of the flash itself has also been reduced, so arguably less value per Candela, but more Candelas overall. It's about the same as before. but more ADS clear, if you will. So this one smoke from Penguin and those one Candela is going to be the starting sign of their attack here, as this time they have to do it for real. No more baiting out the opponents, no more baiting out the positions. Once we go, we gotta go, and that time is now.
There it is. Plane going down from Kool-Aid. Candelas go off as well. Chala kill onto Wimpy. Kool-Aid seems to be relatively safe. There's no real denial in here, and now TSM will have to fight against the 2 players from Parabellum who vacated the premises. They're out through the garage. A Nitro Cell tossed out, but it's a little bit too late. 1 player from PB is above. They'll have the ability, the high ground, if you call it, but a nice play by Chala takes him down. That leaves the 2 players outside. You have to be very cautious about the way that you play this. Achieve knows that there's 1 to the left, but what about to the right? Very, very far back. Kool-Aid, who is to the left, is looking elsewhere. A nice swing outside. Achieved baits him down. That leaves Penguin to clutch.
Oh,
But Chala jumps out the window and a masterful kill. There's plenty of time on the diffuser, and TSM holds on. What an absolute clown fiesta the final 10 seconds of that round ended up being. But TSM, it might not be pretty. It's spectacular. They get the round. They're second in a row on defense, and they're up 5-3.
And that smiles across the board for TSM because they all know that Chala hit some nasty shots with the SMG-11 to make that work for them, to be honest. And Chala single-handedly brought back that postman because Parabellum, Eska was in bar playing the vertical control. They had 2 players outside, 1 far left, 1 very far right, all the way behind that rock on a tiny angle. And somehow, some way, Chala won both of his gunfights and put TSM in a position to defuse the bomb successfully. And I will say Parabellum, they do a great job at their post-plant positions. I do think Eska, instead of being in bar, could have gone top floor. You can see all the way through the soft destruction fireplace to the bomb location itself, but you can't always be in the perfect position every single time. And Chala, that time, was just a little bit better, and that made all the difference. 5-3 for TSM now. Is they're going to be going to the bar bomb site instead. So kitchen into basement into bar has been their rotation, whereas PB, when they're on defense, they went kitchen, basement, basement, kitchen, bar. So in similar fashion, we haven't seen top floor. Probably not, we have seen top floor, but not really. It's been like kitchen defense, but like you play above in master bedroom. So we've seen kind of top floor holds, but not the bomb site itself.
Don't be fooled. Chalet
It's confusing sometimes.
It can be confusing. And Chalet is one of those maps where, yes, there's a certain amount of prominence with playing above a bomb site. Not always going to play off-site, depending on where you are. We see maps like Oregon and Clubhouse tend to be quite linear in the way that you defend some of the bomb sites. You stick mostly to the same floor. Bank as well. If you look at that Lockers CCTV bomb site on the very bottom floor of Bank, a lot of teams will stick 5 players in and around that. Nobody's going to be roaming. Chalet is a very roam-heavy map.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, you have to roam effectively with how strong attacking can be. And look at that. Speaking of, Penguin picks up 2 absolutely free kills. There's a third as well, hiding inside a library, but it's Kool-Aid's to find. This has been 1 minute of action, and 3 players from TSM have exited the server.
That's PB finding an opening, walking up the fireplace stairs and just killing 2 players. And Kool-Aid finds the third. That's Penguin, the IGL of Parabellum, doing what he does best, finding gaps and being that entry for his team. And you have to wonder, if Penguin didn't find those easy kills in this round, what would this have looked like instead? Now it's TSM in the back foot in a 2 versus 5. Could be a flawless one. And yes, Chalet, as you said, Parker, is a map where you kind of want to extend 1 floor up and 1 room over. So when we see bar, we typically see defenders playing library above, and then kitchen when you go 1 room over as well. As much map control as possible is needed because the bomb site is not safe at all.
It's ugly, but it works. Down goes Chala to the spray. Wimpy's the only player from Parabellum off the board. Achieve doesn't know that the diffuser is seconds away. And it's an upside down rappel on the balcony outside of Creators to find the last player on TSM. Parabellum's very first attacking victory comes on their 3rd attempt. But because of the way that the site rotation works, Kitchen reopens for TSM. Bar Gaming, usually a bog standard site for so many teams and so successful, does not go in TSM's favor.
So I want to do a trivia today, Parker, because you didn't like it. But if you could be, who's like your operator? It's like a spirit animal. Like if you could choose one operator, attack or defense, who's your operator? Don't say like Buck because he's Canadian. That's boring.
Buck because I'm Canadian, probably.
Anything else than that?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't like associate yours? Oh wait, never mind. We got a different question. It's today's only match that doesn't affect the major. So Dogs or cats?
There's only one correct answer to this.
You're gonna say dogs, probably.
Oh,
right?
absolutely dogs.
Yeah. I have Nudiman. 67?
That's correct. 2/3 of you are great.
I have Nudiman at home, so I don't
You just
really.
keep saying Nudie Man?
That's his literal name.
Nudie Man.
Nudiman. His name is Newt or Nudiman. Riley called him Binks. Like Binks, Binks, with like a high tone voice, and then he goes. Brrr. He likes it. He likes being talked
So you're a
to.
cat guy then? That's what you're saying.
I'm honestly, I just don't like things that shed, and I have a long-haired ragdoll cat that sheds too much. So
I was gonna say cats shed.
yeah, and he sheds a ton. So I kind of
You
got
gotta
the
be
wrong
very
cat.
careful on how you enunciate on the word shed.
Shit. Oh, I see what you mean. Shed? Shit.
Just keep saying it.
Okay. Oh boy. Anyhow,
Gotta be one of those things where you gotta
be careful.
be real careful about what you say. But yeah, but I mean, unless you get like one of those hypoallergenic pets that don't shed, because there are certain ones that don't. But anyway,
It's true. Hairless animals exist too, Parker.
you could get a hairless cat.
Yep.
You absolutely could.
We'll consider it.
Yep.
After this conversation. Nice. PB, they haven't done too much so far. Broken the castle barricade on the big window, on the bathroom window as well. That's what Penguin did earlier. Now rotating to a Solarium attack. Now, the trouble here for TSM is that no one is actually playing on the Solarium stairs itself.
Oh, no.
So... No, they're okay. I take it back. They're okay.
Merc got a little bit nervous when he was shooting out those X-Kairos pellets, and he's in a bit of a tough spot.
okay.
As now Bolo softened up through his
Where
soft
did he
wall
get
as
shot
well.
from,
He's getting shot
below?
from below, it looks like.
Yeah.
Could have been from the wall, too. I'm not entirely certain. Bolo's going to seek safe refuge inside a Master now, as there's 2 explosions from the Zofia that go off. No damage really done to him. Lots of damage really done to him, but it hasn't taken him out just yet. He's on 1 HP. Now the nades can go in. Look at the secondary lineup from Parabellum. Penguin's been down. That's the first bit of action. Everybody from TSM is still upright, and Penguin is finished off by Merc.
No Thinkaboos been out there to save Penguin. The cooldown was there, I checked, so I'm curious if maybe he was just like done and dusted, like he was caught in a
Not
bad
worthwhile.
position.
maybe.
Yeah, not worthwhile reviving because I knew he was done either way. Achieved, then rotated in the midst of that, by the way, to the Solarium stairs, and that puts TSM in a much better position than before. Even though both Achieved and Bolo are so low in HP, there are no more grenades available from Parabellum. They're stuck here, and they cannot find the opening, but maybe TSM will just give it to them.
Bolo realizing with just 1 HP that taking a fight onto the window might be the advantageous thing to do, and it turns out it was not. It gives Parabellum an equalizer. Achieved still on low HP. He has no toxic canisters left. He's expended all that utility, so he doesn't bring any to the grave with him. Eska falls, and that gives TSM the upper hand yet again. Now it's Creators to march through Bathroom, takes out the castle. With a UMP in hand, that's not a very fair fight, and Creators knows that. They'll need to get the diffuser into the bomb site and get it planted. It's in the hands of Kool-Aid. And while they've cleared out the top floor, again, don't be fooled. That bomb site is kitchen down below. So you have to translate to a successful site execute. A nice play from Kool-Aid to take out Achieved. And Parabellum are seconds away from equalizing in this matchup. Wimpy to gun down onto one player from TSM, and it's Gio to go down. Chalet unable to stop the diffuser from being planted, but he's inside of the kitchen. Time will run out. It's him versus Wimpy. This is not exactly the fairest fight for either of them, as they don't have tons of information. Wimpy has not been the better player today, and he won't be the better player in this engagement. Chalet, Mr. Appreciation Thread himself with just a tiny bit of HP. He gets the diffuser, and it's match point for TSM.
That was a very high chance that that would have been a why are you sprinting situation for Chalet, sprinting in a 1 versus 1, but it doesn't matter if you just instantly ADS with Frost's weapon and just land the first shot headshot onto Wimpy. And I feel kind of bad for Wimpy. He's been put in so many 1 versus 1s and 1 versus 2s on his time in Parabellum, and it's always so close. I mean, one bullet makes a difference there. Chalet was literally down to the last 10 health once that round was over. And that means TSM, as you mentioned, match and map point here, and it's basement defense for them. Pretty regular upper lineup, same thing as you saw last time. Merc on the Vigil gonna be up top floor roaming with those impacts you can use for vertical destruction. Gio with the kite to deny the hatch of the wall with the C4. Valkyrie with information C4. Chalet to anchor, and Bolo bringing that grenade deny so you can stay safe. Let's see what the attacker repick looks like from the side of Parabellum, because they have to answer to what they see. And they have chosen to go from Finka onto Dokebi and from Hibana onto Thermite. So the Thermite is great for basement for all the big wall destruction you can get from either the main breach of Snowmobile or all the way back on the car garage side of things for Trench and that long wall. And then, of course, the Dokebi, that can be a direct counter to Valkyrie. If you get an early kill, you hack the phones, you gain Valkyrie camera and all camera information. That's a direct counter, and you get to bring the smoke grenades. The only thing from Parabellum that they don't have a lot of are grenades and self-destruction. They only have 2 grenades on the side of Eska to work with.
Liking those breaches. They'd also brought some claymores, as you talked about before. The jump outs on the windows. So this...
That's both nades.
This revolving set of secondary gadgets. No cheeky pocket strat, again, with the Ying that you talked about before. Obviously, your focus was on the Dokebi.
Yep.
Also, the Lion, bringing that DMR. The DMR on the Lion actually has been seeing a much higher play rate than the V308 typical assault rifle that is used. And there's something to be said for DMRs on LAN.
That's true. They hit like a truck. The Rooney DMR has been as stable so far, also doing invitationals. On the
I like how you give that to a Rooney, even though it's technically Dokebi's.
Yeah, they're just stealing each other's weapons, right?
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
They share an armory. I believe that's in the lore.
Ah, that's what it is, huh? That's what.
Guy, so.
They share an armory.
There's another logic bomb that's used. I don't know if it was integral for the kill onto Bolo, but Bolo's 6 kills all came in the first half. He has 0 kills to his name since moving to defense and has picked up 8 deaths in total throughout this matchup. So again, that trend line of Bolo doing well on attack and then falling off on defense is holding true, even if TSM is performing well as a unit. Chalet in particular, the standout performer, but he's had a good supporting cast. And Merc is still the top fragger on the team. He's wasting a ton of time and killing in the process. That's his 2nd kill on Creators. Penguin will try to be number 3, but he doesn't do that. He takes out Merc with a single point of HP left. That's not good. There's 3 toxic canisters left for Chalet. Penguin can't get too close to the bomb site, or it's very easy for him to just be taken out.
This is where, 1, you really wish you had a Finko if you're Parabellum, and 2, well, you lose the Dokebi, so your entire win condition around hacking the cameras is completely gone. Your only set of smokes completely gone. You use both grenades from Esker to get the breach open, so all you have to work with is 1 flashbang, 0 flashbangs left from Kool-Aid.
That's a low damage MPX, but so consistent. Rat-a-tat-tat. Penguin is down, and now it's Eska. Gassed inside a connector. He's the last one to fall. TSM get all 3 of the final players of Parabellum, and they get all 3 points in this matchup as they put away PB 7-4. They'll vault over the Sonics in the standings, but still no chance that they're going to make it to Charlotte, and they're still in the basement of the NAL, even with today's victory.
That they are, and honestly, when you win invitationals, when you qualify for big tournaments, when you spend so much time grinding for that singular result, there is always a big talk about possibility of a burnout. And I'm not saying TSM is burned out. Today they look a lot more, like, a lot better, looked like they had a lot more fun together, smiles on their faces. But I will say it could be a long-term good thing that TSM misses out on the Charlotte Major, even though it sucks not seeing them there. And they won't be getting to represent North America on an international grounds this time around.
NAL has been extremely close, very exciting, and very competitive. You know, XSET comes onto the scene with a brand new roster, and they right now look like they're in a great spot to make it to Charlotte. If they beat Astralis today, they are almost mathematically clinched for the spot. If Astralis wins today, they are mathematically clinched. That's going to be a huge matchup. Our next match on the docket is Beast Coast versus Mirage. Mirage has not had the same success that some of the newer teams and newer rosters have. But for Beast Coast, who themselves are a new team, 3 huge points on the line as they still have an outside shot of making it to Charlotte. But at this point, you're going to need to start relying on your opponents losing their matchups, because just winning on your own is not good enough. That's it for our 3rd match of the day. We've still got that Beast Coast versus Mirage match up next. Before we get there, obviously we're going to want to talk to TSM, and the analysts are going to want to break down what you saw during that match. Sit tight, we'll be right back.
On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Tumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, give me a lotion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, he's my mind.
Don't work too hard, might break a backbone. Return of the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never lack those. She saw the stone, you know how that go. Fatality, my diamonds that cold. Versace trunks, I hit my backstroke. Knock on the door, she at the back, bro. All I really take is a little taste. Island girl, blue eyes with a little bass. Here for the thrill, I don't need a chaser. Wanna vibe at a getaway. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, I got the semi-4 weight. Don't step out the line like this a probate. You hit the line and try to locate. This for the time, got time for no day. Whoa, too many, I'm going. Too crazy, and I got bad ones and they ready. A good time, so now it's into it, we left at. Can't remember anything, but I know we got lit. Good times. Live in the moment, feel like summertime. Obsessed with nature, not a world mine. The room is spinning, but I feel fine. Oh my. Chandelier, limousines. Really think I'm seeing things. Read the line in mid-between. Yellow light, I gotta speed up. Get home to a cold shower. Need that pronto. Look like a rave at the condo. Heck of a night in Toronto. She said, boy, you in Morocco. Pearl white mention in the top gold. Fill up my cup with the pop, whoa. High off life in the spot, though. Running up the visa, really talking to a real life Mona Lisa. Jesus pieces hanging off the fleecer. So much going on, it's hard to focus on the features.
Welcome back to the Rainbow Six North American League. Doa here along with Jacob and our guest analyst Pengu for the day. And we have Bolo standing by from TSM in Las Vegas. Bolo. So today, TSM gets the win, of course. It's been a little bit of a rough stage to a certain extent, but do you feel like this is kind of almost like a break the team needed? I mean, winning SI, that's draining, right? You're on the road for so long. It takes every ounce to kind of get that win. This stage went the way it went. Towards the end of it here, kind of like, let me get you a little bit retrospective here. As you look back at the stage, you look forward at the future, tell me kind of what the experience has been like since winning SI.
I mean, yeah, winning SI was, phenomenal. We all played our hearts out. But of course, whenever you qualify for events and you go very far in them, you win them, you don't get a whole lot of time off. We didn't get any time off once we got back. We had probably maybe a week and a half. So I think, it's kind of showing a little bit into our play style and our gameplay come the league. I think we're all kind of feeling a little bit burnt a little bit. We want some nice time to relax and chill, especially after we're such a big event. But that's just not how it is, and unfortunately, it's showing in our play. I don't know how individually the rest of the team is feeling on it, but I'm sure I'm definitely feeling the burnout. There's some other things going on as well, but of course, this stage isn't up to the TSM standard. It isn't up to the SI winning standard, and hopefully, this is a little missing out on this major. Will hopefully be a little break that we need, kind of recoup and fix our flaws and get back to fighting form.
I kind of want to touch on that, Jason, as well, because would you almost argue that not making the major now is a good thing in the long term? Because let's imagine TSM had kept up the performance, you guys have been killing the season, you make top 4 guaranteed, etc. There's no break for Charlotte. There's no break after Charlotte. It's straight from the major to stage 2. So my question is, do you think this is better for the long term, that you can just get to relax, if you will, even though you gotta take some punches right now on social media and from yourselves, not playing up to speed?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good thing for the overall team mental and everything. Nice little reset. It's pretty similar to what happened right before SI. We failed to make the Sweden major, which in result made us not qualify for SI through points. So we had to go through the qualifier, and it was kind of like a wake up call. We got a little bit of a break, not enough, we got a little bit of a break. We worked on our flaws. We grinded and grinded while everybody was going to the majors. Then take their time off. We were still at it. Went through the qualifiers, and then of course SI went the way it did. So I think actually I'm hopeful that it'll kind of mirror itself for the May major in Charlotte, and we get a nice little mental reset. We have time to work out our flaws, and again, like I said, just get back to fighting form, get back to what we were.
Obviously, like the mental state for the team right now is something that, like you mentioned, can definitely differ person to person. Like what affects you might not affect everyone else that's on that squad. But that might be a little bit hard for some people to kind of like latch onto because they don't understand what situations you've been going through. So if you had to go into this offseason period during the Charlotte Major, like this month off break that you guys have, what's one thing that you really want to like hone in and focus on before you come back for stage 2?
I mean, as a team, just kind of everybody needs to just kind of look at the game a little bit differently. We've been trying different aspects into our scrims and everything, trying to work on different elements of our play, and I think we might need to just stray away from that, kind of re-look at the game plan, reevaluate everything, and just kind of go into it with a new look, refresh the mental. And I mean, it's just again, individually, I'm feeling a little bit burnt after everything, and hopefully a nice little vacation will do me good, and hopefully it'll do the rest of the teammates some good as well.
Fair enough. We'll let you get a little break today after this final question here. So coming back to NAL after SI, there's been a lot of changes, right? There's attacker repick now. There's a lot of roster changes. There's a whole new XSET roster, in fact. So a lot of differences between NAL Stage 1 and NAL at the end of 2021. But I was curious, in your opinion, what's kind of the biggest change that's been a challenge to tackle as TSM coming to this stage in terms of the other teams and things like that, changes in the game?
I mean, realistically, the biggest challenge is, you'll hear it many times. It's ourselves. We're the main people to blame at this. I don't think there's any outside elements that's really kind of doing it. Because if we play our game, we play how we usually play, and we're a cohesive team. Doesn't matter what's put in front of us. We're gonna take it head on, and we're gonna probably come out on top. So I think some of the elements, of course, the map pool change, repick. There's a lot of new people in the scene, so little different looks of what you're going to be seeing in the lobby. Different players, different kind of mindsets you're going to be going against. So just there's a lot of different things, and it's been taking a little bit to get accustomed to, but I think the main culprit is ourselves.
All right. Well, I appreciate the responsibility. I think that's obviously a champion mindset from the lips of a champion. So. Sounds good to me. And you did get the win today, so something to feel positive about going into next week. Looking forward to seeing your game next week. Looking forward to seeing what TSM can bring to NAL next stage. Until then, take a break, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.
You too. All right. Well, there was Bolo from TSM, and the thing is like it's to some fans out there, a lot of what he said might have sounded very negative, right? Might have sounded like he's very down on himself. But the thing is when you're playing at the level that TSM was at SI, and then you come back to NA, and you have this kind of struggles that they've been having, a lot of that comes out, right, where you can say, well, sure, the burnout is an excuse, but it is a very real thing.
It is.
And I think it's a credit to players like that to take that on themselves and say, you know what, no matter what the reason is, at the end of the day, it's us. It's on us to win games. We haven't been doing that. It's on us to get better.
Of course, and I mean, TSM and Bolo himself are very humble players. Bolo himself is, what I said on the cast, a superstar player, big content creator, super humble at the same time, and never really blames anyone else or any other factors. He says, if I play bad, that's on me. If our team play bad, that's on us. And it's very respectable.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at the numbers here. Numbers looking a little bit respectable in a good way for TSM
They
here.
are.
Better results overall. I think from an individual point of view, we saw Bolo get, I think, 6 kills through the entirety of the attacking half, and then when they switch over, it felt like on defense, everyone else was kind of picking up the load, so to speak. We saw Chalet have that massive clutch a couple rounds in. We were just like, oh my God, this kind of feels like old TSM a little bit, because they opted to get a little bit frisky. When they were on defense, they said, we don't have to play into our defaults. In fact, let's not play defaults so Parabellum doesn't have something that they can latch onto and come into the game with an easy strength. So I feel like TSM really took advantage of the fact that they understood understand their position. They're not worried about putting additional expectations on themselves, and they just know, you know what, short term, if we play this a little bit fast and loose, then it's not going to hurt anyone, and it won't even hurt themselves because they know it's just going to take more time for them to actually come back into the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a look at round 10 specifically, because that was a round that I felt like is a great example of TSM kind of having things come together, but also a really, really epic Chalet 1v3 towards the end of that one. This was a fun round.
So this bad boy starts off, I mean, we're just a couple seconds in. Kool-Aid has like default bomb plant position back here. So now it's going to fall upon both Chalet and Geo to find some just measure of recourse. And this looks very much like a situation that Chalet can't necessarily win, but we don't want to count Chalet out because he's probably the single greatest Frost player we've seen, maybe across even every single region, and his gunplay is no exception. Back when the 1.5 got taken off the C8, it very much felt like she wasn't able to come back into play for Chalet, but instead, he's able to do stuff like that, and it just goes to prove that the way the old TSM really captured the hearts and minds of fans, if it wasn't from being a fan of Bolo before TSM entered the scene, is because everyone can perform on an individual level. Chala's a clutch master, but everyone on that squad, none of them are really capable of being counted out.
That's right. So, quick, before we go, parting thoughts about TSM versus Parabellum.
I think when Merc is active in the entry and getting very aggressive, I think that's when he shines the most, and I think he brings so much to the side of TSM. I think when Chalet is clutching, same story there. When we see those two players in particular really do their job, I think that is when we expect the most from TSM. There's always going to be questions about, you know, Bolo, Achieved, and Geo, because if one area of the team is struggling, often it affects the others. But I think in a vacuum, the biggest impact for TSM and the biggest individual to look at is Merc. When he's doing good, usually TSM is doing good. That's what we saw at Invite, and it's what we saw today.
Yeah.
Sure enough. Well, that's going to do it for TSM versus Parabellum. But we've got Mirage taking on Beast Coast coming up next for our fourth map of the day. Beast Coast looking to get some much needed points in their hunt for the final spot at the major in Charlotte. We'll see if they can do it. Mirage, unfortunately, down a player. It's going to be a little bit tricky. Beast Coast, you know, favored, but then again, it's been a day of upsets. So you don't want to miss it. Don't go anywhere. Rainbow Six NAL coming back in just a few.